Hi, welcome back to another video. Ryan Brath here, and this is a shop update. As you can see, I am in the shop. It is nice and clean and organized, just how I like it. And I've got a few projects on the go, so I wanted to show you those projects and then show you some of the stuff that I picked up recently. As I've always talked about, I'm a huge used club fiend. I like going out, I like searching places for just old gear, things that I find interesting. And I have found some cool stuff, so I'm going to show you that in just a second. But the first thing I want to show you is my newest project, which is from a friend of mine. He wanted me to build him some clubs, so that's what I'm going to be doing. This is the set I get to work on, which is really fun. Miura CB202s. Very similar to like the one they did for Nike. It's obviously this came before that. It's an older model, but they are in really good shape. I love just working on Miura clubs in general because their specs, their head specs are always very tight. I know people talk about their extremely high quality control, and you get what you pay for. You really do. I think a lot of their stuff is fantastic, and so that's my next project that's sitting on the bench. It's actually a full 3-to pitching wedge set, and then there are some Miura wedges as well that I'm going to be working on. But I'll get to those in a little bit. Now the other couple things that I got kicking around, which are, again, a lot of fun to work on, older stuff. First up is this. If you love classic fairwoods, or you were someone that, let's say mid-2000s was into gear, you probably most likely had one of these in the bag. This is a Sonartec. Now this is one of the more newer versions. This is the SS305. The .5 versions were the newer ones. They did have an SS3, there was an SS2. And they also did the 2.5 was shallower. I don't know if it entirely related to face height or not, but I always remember that the 205, having one of those earlier, was a lot shallower, a lot longer heel toe. This is just the head right now. So this is what's gonna be interesting, and what I don't like about these heads, although they are really good, is how they sit, because this back edge is very sharp on the heel. So what I'm going to do is actually grind it. I haven't done it a lot. I've done it once before on like just kind of peeled off a little like trailing edge of a fairway wood. It was a much older model, so the metal was like very thick. Haven't done one of these before, and I mean I only paid $20 for the head. So if I ruin it as an experiment, well, I'm out $20 and I learned something. So that's going to be very interesting. It came with an Aldila NVS 85 gram regular, an odd combo. Most people using regular flex shafts don't need something that is 85 grams, but I'm gonna try it out. Like I said, I pulled the head. I'm gonna grind this club head off on the back so it actually sits a little bit more square, because it is, when you measure it, the face angle is actually square relative to the hosel, but when you set it down, a lot of times it wants to close if you have lower hands at address, because the way that heel sits. So I'm gonna do some grinding on a metal wood and see what happens. So I'll show you that down the line. Now this is what I was talking about, going out and finding old gear. I love it. I love going out on the hunt, and I like finding stuff that people have actually taken care of, because I found a lot of old stuff that really, truly, honestly sucks. I mean, because it's been mistreated, it's been rusted out, the shafts are bent, all that stuff that you don't want to have to ever really want to repair. And I don't want to take the time to do it, because it literally takes so much time to try and restore a set of irons, and something that I don't specialize in. I don't have the equipment to do it. I have the equipment to build golf clubs. I don't have the equipment to refinish them in like the full holistic sense. But this is what I got. So 3 through 9 iron. So think of it like a modern day 4-to pitching wedge, because the 9 iron is 45 degrees. Ben Hogans bounce sole irons. This is pre-apex, has the little bevel. This was always a very telltale sign of the Hogans, was like concentrating mass behind and pulling it from the edges of the golf club, where basically you hopefully never ever want to hit it, more of like a framing mechanism. They're in great shape. Let me show you the mid irons, even the pitching wedge. I mean, they're almost 50 years old, so something that looks like that. Lots of groove life left in them. It's great. You'll notice too, and this is kind of really the fun thing here, if my head's kind of in the way, holding this shaft straight up and down 90 degrees perpendicular to the floor, you You can see there's not a lot of bounce. It's a pretty straight, not a lot of camber. So it's kind of funny that they call it the bounce sole, because if you look at modern stuff, there's a lot more bevel on the leading edge. And then, so these are newer. That's actually a newer model. Then they have these. These are called ITP, which is something power thrust. Very similar design. You can see the bevel, it's not quite as pronounced. I have this little plus on the sole. These, I believe, are the older models. These are from the 60s. Great shape, it's insane. And like, shafts are good, they're not completely rusted out. They have new grips on them, so the grips are actually worth more than what I paid for the clubs. Thank you, whoever decided to regrip them and then eventually trade them in. And even if you look at this is the 9-iron. Look at that. You can almost still see your face in the shiny chrome, which is really impressive for a set of clubs that is this old. Again, shafts are in good shape. That's the face of the 9-iron, which you're not gonna find too often in a set of clubs this age. I'm gonna check the specs on them. I haven't even really gone through that process yet. And probably put them in the bag when I go play some shorter golf courses and use my persimmon woods, because, hey, it's fun. That's kind of the whole point of it. And yeah, so like, the treasure hunting is always gonna be something that I like to do. Now, what is interesting, and this is kind of the internal debate that I'm having right now, is I would like to reshaft these. I haven't done it before. They basically cost me nothing because I traded in some old wedges and stuff I had kicking around. I'm not sure if you can see this, but there's this little dot on the hosel there. And what that is a pin, because the epoxy wasn't very good at the kind of back in the day. So what they would do is they would epoxy them, then they would use this little pin. They would drill a hole and put the pin in. So there was actually a mechanical, not just the chemical, but the mechanical bond to hold the shaft in place, because they didn't really trust the modern day, at the time, epoxy. But to reshaft them, you have to actually drill that out. And I did it one time on one wedge, and I kind of made a mess of it. And this is almost 10 years ago now. So this is that debate, because they need new ferrules. Some of them don't match, or they match but they've lost range, or they've gotten beat up. And as I've talked about, I like putting cool new ferrules on stuff, and shafts are old, and I'm not really concerned about having them match me like set for being properly fit. They're that old, I don't really care that much. But if I want to replace them, I want them to at least work and play the same. So having to go through and do this could be a very interesting project. It goes all the way through. So yeah, we're gonna see. I don't know. I haven't quite figured out if I'm going to do that or not. But if I do, like I always tell people, don't practice on the club that you're actually going to use. Go out and maybe find one that's really junky and try it first. So if I am going to do this, I'll probably end up doing some used club shopping again, finding a set that either is like beyond repair, or maybe if it's like a loose 7-iron or a 2-iron or a pitching wedge or something, and just drill it out, test it out, and then hopefully maybe I'll reshaft these and make them look really sharp. But as of right now, I've got this old set, got 2 old sets. I'm going to tweak them, going to play around with them, going to grind this fairy wood, going to work on those mirrors over there, and at the end of the day, I'm just going to keep generally busy in the shop like I like to tend to do. So if you have questions about any of these projects or any club building stuff, I didn't really talk about any of those things today, but if you have questions, as always, please use the comment section. That's why it's here. If you like the videos, if you like the kind of the whole playlist that I've got set up, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and as always, thanks for watching.